Most guitar players are harmonic idiots because they try to look at the fretboard the same way that you would look at a piano. The fretboard is not a piano, but today we're going to figure out voicings, how to look at them appropriately, what closed position is, how to see it, and what dropped voicings are. Let's go. When you graduate from looking at triads and start looking at four-part harmony, meaning 6 chords, minor 6 chords, major 7s, dominant 7s, diminished 7s, all the chords that have 4 voices in them, guitar players have a huge blind spot because they can't visualize closed position. Now, what is closed position? Closed position is when you arrange the 4 voices in sequential order inside one octave. Meaning, if I have a 6 chord, that's what we're going to look at today. The notes of a C6 are C, E, G, and A. We're going to think about that intervallically, the 1, 3, 5, and 6. You see this configuration? Next inversion is just taking that 1 and shooting it an octave up. So now I'm going to have 3, 5, 6, 1. The next inversion is going to be 5, 6, 1, 3, and the last inversion is going to be 6, 1, 3, 5. Now, you must be looking at my hands right now. I'm like, oh my God, how is he playing these voicings? Well, I was genetically made to do this. A lot of you guys lack the talent that's God-given to actually play the guitar incredibly because of your small, girly hands. Kidding, I'm just breaking your balls. You don't actually play a lot of this shit on the fretboard, but it's very useful to see it because when you have closed position, that is sort of the basis from which you derive the voicings on the piano. Everything is based on the idea that this vision of the closed position chord is clear on the keyboard, and from there you start manipulating it. So this is the structure that you're supposed to manipulate to get the other voicings. Now, the drop voicing system works like this. What we do is we name the intervals inside this grip soprano, alto, tenor, bass, or numerically, 1 is soprano, 2 is alto, 3 is tenor, 4 is bass. The numbering is just to tell you what order pitches they are inside the staff, if you just look at them on paper. So if I take the next inversion, the notes change, but still this is 1, 2, 3, 4, meaning soprano, alto, tenor, bass. Next voicing, 1, 2, 3, 4, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And last voicing, soprano, alto, tenor, bass, right? It's always the same. It's always the same in every single one of these chords. Now, there's no such thing as a drop 1. Drop means drop it by an octave, the number, and then what you do to it. So drop 1 would be drop the soprano. But if I do that, take this A from here to here, I just get a different closed position inversion. So the idea with drop voicings isn't to invert the same kind of voicing, it's to create a different type of voicing by changing the interval structure. So drop 2s, those are the meat and potatoes of guitar playing. If I take the alto, the 2, this thing that I'm holding with my middle finger, and I drop that voice by an octave, I would have to move this G either here or more likely here. If I take it here, then here are my 4 voices. Now, it makes no fucking sense to play that A here anymore. It made sense a second ago, but now it doesn't. So I'm gonna move that to the B string, and I have this. Second inversion, C major 6. So this is a drop 2 voicing. I derived it from this closed position C6. Now, what's a drop 3? Well, take the tenor and move it down. Here's the tenor, right? The 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, down an octave, it's right here. But this configuration of my fingers does not make sense anymore. I want to move that C note from the D string to the G string. First inversion, drop 3. So we covered closed position, drop 2 second inversion, and drop 3 first inversion, all by manipulating the root position C6. What's drop 4? Well, 4 is the bass note. Let's drop that by an octave to this C. You grab this chord. So there are all sorts of other configurations you can do with double drop voicing, meaning I can drop the 2 and the 3, the 2 and the 4, the 3 and the 4, or the 2, 3 and the 4. If I drop 2, 3, and 4, it just means play the same shit, but instead of this triad, it's an octave down, right? So you have this. Those are not really useful voicings. It just kind of creates this big space between the soprano, in the rest of the chord, right? If you have a major 7, that's not really a thing, right? It's just like triad and melody note. But if you take drop 2, drop 4s, for instance, you can think about it like this. I take the 2 and the 4 and I drop both of them, meaning I'm gonna have a C here and then I'm gonna have a G somewhere there. So C, G, that's my drop 2, drop 4. C, G, E, A. Now for me, I have a different way of thinking about it because this whole concept of starting in closed position and thinking from there is a piano concept. What you want to do is realize the guitar way of looking at things, which is everything originates with drop 2s. If I have this drop 2 for C6, on every string set, I get these inversions of that chord. These give you the meat and potatoes, the basic units that you manipulate. Now, when I have this drop 2, I can just tell myself, drop its tenor. From drop 2s, if I drop from there, I can derive these drop 2, drop 4s, no problem. If I take this chord, I just take the second voice and move it down. This voicing, well, this one goes down. This voicing, this one goes down. This voicing, this guy goes down. I can see it really clearly. I can see it on the top string set. Second voice here is that C. This E, it's very easy. This G goes down. This A. It creates this Holdsworthian spread fifths. There's a lot of cool voicings with that. Drop 2, drop 4s are extra great for diminished chords. You get these voicings, right? Which are really nice to create these little movements, right? Classical guitar kind of spread sounds. Now, another thing you could and should do is take closed position voicings and try to look at them as broken voicings. What I mean by that is I take 3 sequential notes of the 4-note shape and play them as a chord, and then play the next 3. So I can use these diagonals to do that. Meaning, this G6 has G, A, C, E, G, A. It creates this weird diagonal shape across the guitar, but I can roll that chord 3 notes at a time. Here's the first chunk. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a really nice sound. If I have a 2, 5, very Hawaiian, right? You can do it on one string. Here's C6, 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 C6. How is that C6? Well, it's the 1, 3, 5, 3, 5, 6, 5, 6, 1, 6, 1, 3, right? 1, 3, 5, 3, 5, 6, 5, 6, 1, and then finally 6, 1, 3. So I get 2 triads, 2 normal looking triads, A minor and C major when I do this, but I get these 2 shapes that look like pentatonic shapes. If you've ever played 3-note per strings pentatonic, you've seen these, right? So these are C6s as well, or A minor 7s, the same thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2, 5, and then for the 1 chord I can go. It's a nice sound, right? Very Hawaiian. Not a coincidence, their shit is tuned in major 6 chords. So you hear these inversions in that kind of SpongeBob-y thing where they're sliding around stuff and it's that underwater hula sound, right? Cool. So that's another way to visualize these closed position chords. So let's look at some 2-5-1s with a variety of voicings. Here's the closed position D minor. So if I roll the chords 3 at a time, I have 1, 2, 3. Here's G7, and here's A minor or C6. To move through them, I can play something like, I got you under my skin. I got you deep in the heart of me. It's just closed position, basic shit, like the simplest way you can play a piano, but on guitar it's intense. It helps you see it. Now, let's do something that's more guitar friendly, like a 2-5-1 with drop 2s, right? So here's my drop 2 D minor. Here's my G7. Here's my C6. Now let's do it with drop 3s. Now let's do it with drop 2, drop 4s. Let's do it with drop 4s. So here are drop 2, drop 3s. I got you under my skin. I don't use these a lot at all. Do da da. But these are all the configurations that you can and should learn to have a complete view of it. But most importantly, you need to understand how it works and how to derive them from closed position. If you dig this content, we have that and much, much more on our Patreon. It's the Mega Patreon. Leave a comment below for a chance to win a free month there. We'll see you soon. Tell your grandpa, leave a comment, click the things, and we'll see you next time.